Hey guys, welcome to Pretty Tattered. My name is Belinda and today I'm going to show you some ideas of what you can do with some old ornaments that you have or those really cheap ones that are $1.25 that you get at Dollar Tree. I'm going to show you some really cool things you can do with it that's going to help decorate your house or items that you can resell. But you're going to love these, so stick around guys and let's get started now. Hey guys, I'm Belinda. Welcome to Pretty Tattered. This is a channel where my husband Pat and I love to go out and find things cheap and restore them and resell them. If you like that, this channel is for you. First thing, we're going to take a picture that I got like at Goodwill, and I'm going to start with it by removing the tag, cleaning it up, and taking off the back of it because this one's actually stapled on the back. So I'm going to pull all that off and then I'll be right back to show you how we're going to take those ornaments and we're going to do something really cool, make a really cool piece of art out of it. I pulled the picture off of this and there is a little glue, but I think I'll go ahead and use this. I think it'll be okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this. Now, you can paint this and I'm still up and up on whether or not I want to paint it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the picture on here first and then decide if this frame looks okay or if I need to paint it. So what I want to do is I'm going to take some of this. I used this in my last video, so I want to use some more of it because, you know, I paid for it and I have it and it's Christmas time. So this time I think I'm going to use this part. And I'm just going to set this down here on it. And I'm going to draw around it and then cut it out. But I want to draw it just a little bit wider than the actual board is or cardboard is, because when you start laying it down, sometimes it kind of gets off a little bit and stuff, and I don't want the paper to pull away. So I want to try to get it as straight as possible, but I want to make sure I have plenty of paper, especially if it crinkles up a little bit. It will, you know, again, change the size of that paper. And I'm just going to draw. I need something straighter than that, don't I? Okay, I'm going to just do the corners like this. That one I won't need to do. And then push it over a little bit so I can get a straight line there. And then up here. And then I'm going to cut that out. I'm just going to do it using regular scissors. But anyway, this is decoupage paper. So right now what I'm going to do is get this board back. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the bottom. So I'm going to turn it upside down because I like to work down this direction. And I'm going to start putting the Mod Podge. I know the real name is Mod Podge, and why it's even called Mod Podge because the woman that invented it in 1960 called it Mod Podge because it was actually short for modern decoupage. You put it together and made Mod Podge. But Mod Podge just kind of rolls off the tongue better for some of us. I'm going to get some wax paper to put under this to protect it, and I'll be right back. And I'm just going to use one of these really cheap chip brushes. Now I'm going to start from the top and work my way down. It just goes on better for me that way. I'm going to start out putting it on the paper, but the rest of the time I probably won't put it on the paper. I'm going to put it on the cardboard instead. But I try to get it as thin as possible because it'll still stick. This paper is really thin. I always have wrinkles. I don't really mind wrinkles. You know, they just kind of smooth out. They still pretty much work, but this thing is going to come out short if I'm not careful. Not too much. Sometimes I do it too much. I'll be pulling in one direction just a little too much. Still come out okay. I still like the look. Let's finish this up. So I really like what I got in here. Pretty much what I was wanting in the picture. So I'm happy with that. I'll roll it a little bit more just to get any extra wrinkles out. The thing of it is if you get some of these wrinkles, man, that just looks so cool. It just gives it this really cool age look. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some sandpaper, and I like to do it while it's still kind of wet, and I'm just going to rub the edge. I know you got to sing this a zillion times. I really like how that looks. That turned out really good. Now I'm going to show you what to do with those old ornaments that you have that you don't know what to do with, or some new ones that you just bought. Here's the idea I want to do with this. Now I got 2 of these bell ornaments at Dollar Tree. They were $1.25 for the both of them in a package. And then I took them on a bandsaw and I cut them down the middle. Actually, I think my husband cut this one, but I can cut them too. If you don't have a bandsaw and you don't want to use a bandsaw, you can use an X-Acto knife and just cut them in half. Just mark it to get it, you know, straight, and then just cut them in half. Then what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to take these and I think I'm going to set them up just like this. I think they're really pretty. All right, let's get these painted. I've got some new colors here. I really want to try this. It's a sandstone. It is a chalk paint. Kind of a stencil type brush, I think, to do this, to get into all these crevices here. It's covering really well. I like that. I really like this Waverly chalk paint. I use it a lot for crafts. Okay, one thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the blow dryer thing, so hang with me and let me dry this up real quick. I took 2 coats of paint plus a few touch-ups to get all the silver covered, but I got it all done and I got it dried, and now I move on to the next color of paint. But I want to take some of this paint that I bought. It is Folk Art Sugar Metallic, and this is the crystal white, and I also have the moon dust. Wait, this one's got like a silver tone, and this one has, of course, the crystal. Man, I really like them both. I'm going to try these both. I mean, it's new. Why not, you know? Let me get a little paper towel. I'm never equipped like I should be. I'm going to kind of get that off of there. Make it kind of light. Because I just want to do kind of a light dusting of paint over the top of the paint that's already there. Just to kind of get an idea of what it might look like. And actually, I'm really liking this. Oh, paintbrushes. They just don't make them like they used to. Okay, let's try this again. I'm going to kind of dab it on because I wanted to cover a lot of it because I really like this color. And I think it's going to look great on this background. Always got glitter everywhere. But I think that color is going to look fabulous on this, don't you think? Okay, let's keep doing this. We'll speed this up. Isn't that cool? I mean, seriously, I love that. Now, I think to top this all off, I'm going to see what it will look like to take this color. Oh, this is a bad paintbrush. And just kind of dab it over that. I really like this. I like the look. I think that is really pretty. Look at that. See how it compares with the one that's got the paintbrush hair all over it? That's pretty. Okay, let's do that to this one. Do this. Okay. Whew, hot. Aren't those beautiful? Isn't that color beautiful? I love the combination of the 3 colors. Anyway, I love experimenting. Sometimes it turns out, sometimes it doesn't. You know how that goes. Well, you know what? Oh, I need to put some of these over the top of that. Just see what this looks like. You know, if we don't like it, we'll just, I don't know, paint over it, cover it up, do something. Okay, so I did this basically the same way I did the silver bell ornament. First, I put a coat of the moon dust over the entire thing, and then I topped that with a coat of the crystal white. I just used a blow dryer in between the paint jobs to dry it quicker, and it looks great. I love the outcome. It is going to match the picture and all the bells and everything that I'm going to add on to the glass frame perfectly. I got it all put together, and I absolutely love these colors together. I mean, those are perfect. It looks like it was done that way and some expert knew what they were doing. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to add the bells up here, and I'm going to add a little holly with them. I'm going to use my old faithful Stanley. I'm going to cut this down, and I may have to glue it to keep all this together. Yeah, see, it's going to come loose. I'm going to have to stick that baby back. Okay. Now I want to glue the leaves back on there because I like the leaves. We put two of the leaves behind it with this behind that, and then maybe this one off a little bit that will cover all that. But before I glue the bells and holly, I want to use this church, and it is glitter everywhere. You know, I probably should paint over this too, just to control the glitter. So what I want to do now is I want to separate these two pieces. Now they are glued together, but they're not glued that great together. You know what I mean? Sometimes if you kind of work with it, you can see there's an opening. You can get something in there to start separating them. There it goes. It's pretty simple. Ta-da! Now this side's going to be flat, but this side's going to have these little notches because they fit into those little holes, you know, when they put them together. So if I use this side, I'm going to have to cut those off, but I'm going to cut this off no matter what, because I don't want that up there. And that came off pretty good. Some sandpaper, roughness off. Now, if I'm at thrift stores or yard sales or whatever, and they have these old bamboo cutting boards, I get them. I buy them from $1 to $1 a piece. Then what I do with them is I use them for anything that I cut or scratch or scrape or whatever. These work great. You don't have to worry about damaging anything wrong. Okay, so let's try this. But unfortunately, the camera was sitting on the same table that I was cutting on, and the cutting of this was shaking it so bad that I'm just going to pass up on this part so you get the idea. After I cut the little notches off, I used the 220 grit sandpaper and just sanded them back so that it was smooth. That way it would lay better on the surface when I glued it down on the glass. Next, I took some pliers and removed the holly so that I could paint it without getting paint on the holly. Next, I painted the church with the Folk Art Sugar Metallic Crystal White, and that was the only paint I used on it. I just wanted the paint to seal down the glitter. Okay, I've got the church all painted and dried, and I've reattached the holly, so now it's time to start gluing all the stuff onto the glass inside the frame. Before I glue the church on, I have a couple of small bottle brush trees that I want to glue on each side of the church. So I need to glue the tree down first so that I have plenty of room for the church, and then the next tree so I don't cover the tree that's already in this picture frame. After I got the bottle brush tree glued on, then I glued the church on. The next tree I glued down, I think looked really good in the front with that big green tree in the background. I just think it looks so pretty. Next, I took the leaves from the holly berries and I glued two of the leaves down flat at an angle. And then I took the berries and I glued them in between. Then I could glue the bells over the top of that and then add one leaf to just cover where the bells, where the bells joined together so you didn't see that part. Then I glued both of the bells down at an angle like I did the leaves. I tried to glue the last holly leaf on, but it just didn't cover it enough, so I had to clip a couple of leaves from a different holly and then glue those on, and that covered it and it looked great. I just love how this turned out. It's so pretty. I added a white bow up at the top where it hangs, and honestly I think this would look pretty hanging in your house or propped up on your mantle or a table all winter long. It's just really, really pretty. I'm really proud of how it turned out. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Okay, next I'm going to show you what I do with this frame that I bought at Goodwill for $4.74, and it was actually 50% off of this because it was yellow tag day. There is a little bit of damage on it, so I'm going to just put a little bit of black paint over this, and then I'm going to show you the creative thing I do with this one. And then after that, I'm going to show you what I did with some individual ornaments to update them. So stick around. I went on Canva and I made, with the AI program, I made some handwritten letters to Santa. Now, if you have children or grandchildren, you could get copies of their letters to Santa, and this would be so adorable. Put on your wall with the kids' letters. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of layer them on here. I'm going to glue them down. Either like a photocopy of your kids' real Santa letters would be so cute on this. Just even if it was just one big letter, it would be adorable. But anyway, this is how I'm going to do this one. Cut some of the letters up in strips and then just glue them in as fillers. But I'm going to glue this down And then I'm going to add some stuff to it, but I just wanted to let you see this in the beginning before I finish the frame on how cute this starts out to be. But we're going to build onto this, okay? And I'll get back with you on that right after we do the frame. So let's get back to work on the frame here. I buy cheap brushes because I use them, and then when I don't, they're bad, I just throw them away. Anyway, let's see how much black we want to put on this. We're just going to kind of do this little sporadical kind of thing here. Now, some of you may not like adding black to your frame for any Christmas thing, especially with kid letters. You do not have to do that. You can lighten this up. You could paint it with white and then highlight it with gold or whatever you want to do. I'm just using a Santa picture in it that I think is a little darker, and I want to go a little bit on the darker side. Let's say instead of just pretty tattered, we'll go a little pretty dark. So I'm going to go over this, and I'm going to mainly use the black paint just to cover up all those little nicks in it. Okay, maybe I covered it with black a little more than I originally said I was going to, but I guarantee you it's going to look really good, and I am going to lighten it up a little bit with the crystal paint. So stick around, don't get too discouraged, stick with me, because really, you're going to like this. Really, you're going to like it. Oh, got lotion around my nails here, lotion my hands all the time, and didn't get all the paint off of me. You know, it's kind of like that saying, you don't trust a skinny chef, well, you don't trust a crafter with the perfect manicure. That's how I look at it. Anyway, and we are going to glue all these down. I like to use this glue. It is purple, disappearing purple. That way I know I've got the whole area covered. I did not know this, but I guess if you cut this with the scissors, it cuts it straight. But if you use a paper cutter, which is what I used, it gives you those rough edges. Rub this all on here, making sure that I get it along the edges really well. This way I can see that, you know, I've got this pretty much covered. Alright, so I'm going to flip it, line it up with the edge. I forgot to glue the smaller pieces in first, so I had to kind of lift it up, and luckily the glue was still wet, so I could reapply glue and put those little pieces in underneath the bigger pieces. That way it just looked all smoother. It just looked as like a better collage that way. To make sure that the glue stuck really good, I went over it with the wooden roller. Then I took a picture of Santa that I had purchased on Etsy. It was a digital print out. So I printed it out on just regular printing paper. I just kind of cut it around the edges just to make it look rough. Then I took 220 grit sandpaper and just kind of went around the edges just to give it that rougher look. You know, just to age it a little. Then I took a black ink pad and I went around the edges, and then I followed that up with the brown ink pad. It just gives it a great age look. I love using the ink on paper. If you've never done it, I highly recommend you try it. I think you will love it. I also use the ink pads, both the black and the brown, to go around the letters to help age it. Now, I don't know why, but I like to use the black ink and then the brown ink over it. There's just something about the combination and in that order that makes it look really good. Sometimes I go back over the brown with a little bit more black. I'm guaranteeing that once you start using ink on paper to age it, you're going to come to me and you're going to say, Belinda, that was such a great idea. Thank you so much for introducing the ink to us. Yep, I'm serious. Yes, you will. You will. Next, I take the Elmer's purple invisible glue and I glue it down the very same way that I did the letters. A little touch up here that I needed to do in a corner. Sometimes you'll have to do that. Go back over with the glue and kind of touch some areas up. Make sure that those edges are glued down, because it's better to do it now before you add anything else or before you get it back into the frame. Next, I run the blow dryer over the whole thing just to make sure that it's dry and it's all laying down good and I don't need to add any more glue anywhere. But doesn't this look good? I mean, I just love how it's turning out. So next we're going to put it in the frame and we're going to start doing the embellishing. Okay, people, I have absolutely nothing against how it looks now. I think it's absolutely 100% beautiful. This is something you could almost put up all year long. At first I took my X-Acto knife and I cut some ornaments in half. Now these are plastic, don't try this with glass. But when I started arranging them on the frame, I didn't like them, so I went a complete different way. So I went to work on this wreath that I got at Dollar Tree for $1.25. I got a gold one and I got a silver one. And I really like the comparison of the gold pine cones to the colors in the picture. The wreath was basically made of wire, so I had to do a lot of twisting of the wire to get it to lay flat so that I could glue it onto the picture. Okay, here's what I end up doing. I took these little silver snowflake hooks. I bought a whole package at Dollar Tree for $1.25, and I decided to paint them and use them as ornaments. Originally, what they're for is to hang tree ornaments, but I thought, why not paint them and attach them to the frame and use them as the decoration instead of them being the decoration hanger. Genius, right? I know. I am the crafter entrepreneur. I painted them with some folk art, solid bronze, metallic paint. Just so happened that I had some ribbon that I bought from Walmart that matched this paint exactly. So I took some of the ribbon, made a little bow, and attached the bow to it. And then I glued the wreath onto the bottom using a hot glue gun. And I also applied those little hooks up on the top, the little decorative hooks, onto the glass, also using the hot glue gun. Now it is all done. I also love how this one turned out. I'm not sure which is my favorite, the Santa with the children's letters to Santa, or if I like the one with the church and the tree. It's a hard choice. Which one do you like the best? Leave it in the comments. Next project, I just take a small piece of wrapping paper and I cut out the words Merry Christmas. Then using Mod Podge, I attach it to an old ornament. I smooth it down, trying to get all wrinkles out of it and to get it to stick really good. Then I put Mod Podge over the top of it. Then I speed up the drying process using my hair dryer. Now I'm taking some clay that I had made in a mold, and I am going to glue it on. Actually, I put it in the refrigerator and I froze it, so it's still pretty cold now. So I used Elmer's glue to stick it because it was frozen and so the hot glue wouldn't stick to it. Then I covered the entire ornament with ivory chalk paint. I use an old paintbrush to hold on to the ornament while I paint it and while I dry it with the blow dryer. It took about 2 coats of paint to cover the whole thing. After that, I took some antiquing wax and a very tiny paintbrush, and I went into all the little crevices on the clay design. After that, I covered the entire thing with the antiquing wax, and then I wiped it all back with just like a baby wipe. Okay, it's all done, and I think it turned out really pretty. I might have put just a little too much antiquing wax into the clay design, but all in all, I still like the age look, and I think it turned out really pretty. I ran out of time to show you exactly all the instructions on how I made this, but I took a frame, I painted it and distressed it. I also printed out a digital picture of a snowman that I bought on Etsy onto photograph paper, and I glued it on. I took a Dollar Tree snowflake ornament and I separated it and then cut them in half and glued them on. I took a half clear ornament, I sprayed it with adhesive and added fake snow and then hot glued it on so it looked like a snowball, and then I just added some kind of like white Christmassy foliage. I think it turned out pretty. Here's another one I ran out of time to show you how to do it. Now this one is smaller than the others. It's only a 5x7, but I took the decoupage paper to do this one, and then I took the half ornament. I glued a little bit of Spanish moss in it, glued 3 of those little bottle brush trees inside of it, and then I glued the ornament onto the actual frame, and then I added a white ribbon and tied it, and I just think it turned out so cute. Oh yeah, and the frame, I painted it white and distressed it. I'm really sorry. I had planned on taking this and doing a makeover on it as well, but I just ran out of time. It just took longer than I thought to make all that stuff. But for this, some ideas is I would take things like maybe take another ornament that you already have and glue that on it to make like a whole new ornament. Or you can take this, paint it with some white chalk paint, take some sandpaper, sand it to distress it. You could add some of these hooks, these decorative hooks, paint them, add them on there. Or you could also add some holly. I think this holly would be so pretty on here if you paint this white and distress it. But there's just some ideas. Or you can even take and stamp some words or dates on it, like December 25th. I just hope that all of these helped inspire you to be creative, to take old ornaments and old decorations and come up with some really cool ideas. Thanks for watching the video. If you like the video, please subscribe, share, and do a thumbs up.